we're going to be having a series of career-orientated talks and presentations by various professionals in the sustainability kind of realm. And each day there'll be 3 to 4 speakers with presentations or talks about 20 to 30 minutes long, and then 10 minutes at the end per speaker where you can have questions. And so if you have any questions throughout the talks, you can just feel free to post them in the Zoom chat. And whoever's moderating out of the Green Office and SFSA members will basically just read out the questions at the end. So let's get started. The first speaker of the day today is Izzy Allen from Taste Before You Waste. So let me just hand over to Izzy.
Perfect. So can everyone hear? Or Ashley, can you hear? Yes, good. So I'm just, hi, I'm Izzy. I introduced myself. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. Emily, I have a presentation, so I will go through that. Wish me luck on this. There we go. So I hope that everyone can see that. Okay. So yeah, welcome to my presentation. I am Izzy from Taste Before You Waste. I'm the coordinator at Taste Before You Waste and have been so for about 6 months now. So I want to break down this presentation into a few sections in order to provide a nice overview of the organisation. Should I see the audio is bad. Is this any better with the microphone? Or...
Yeah, that's working for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure
and
it might be because of connection for some people, but if it persists, just type it in the chat and we can try and sort something out.
Yeah, and everything okay with the visuals too? And I'll continue. Yeah, so I want to go through the presentation. Basically, I want to touch upon how we work as a foundation, a little bit about food waste, and also some information on our internships and the kind of recruitment process. So yeah, like I said, I'm the representative of Taste Before You Waste, and we are a foundation with the mission to reduce consumer food waste by providing knowledge, inspiration, and opportunity for responsible and waste-free consumption to citizens nationally and internationally. So we want to create a welcoming international community of foodies by hosting our donation-based events that I will go a little bit more into depth in a second. So we have our FoodCycle Market, our Wasteless dinners, our educational workshops, and our event caterings and presentations. Sorry, distracted by the chat. We want to showcase that the food that we use and collect is that's regarded as waste is actually really delicious and really valuable. And we want to raise awareness and empower citizens, and so can contribute to a social movement that pushes for a fairer and more sustainable food system. Thus, we are an organisation founded with the aim to reduce food waste on a consumer level by providing the public with varied opportunities to confront and alter their consumption habits. So we want to increase awareness about the magnitude of food that is thrown away in order to educate people to prevent this from occurring, while also creating a space for proactive community committed to change. Let me just make sure that we're on the next. Yes. So we're also struggling with the PowerPoint. We're also a social franchise, so we like to think that we have the capacity to extend in all situations. So by creating templates concerned with the local, we aim to expand to the global and create this sort of traveling organization. This has so far led to the creation of a number of regional, national and international branches, ranging from Utrecht in the Netherlands, obviously, to Kingston in Canada, New Zealand, and hopefully soon a branch in Denmark. We work alongside a lot of other non-profit organizations. Yeah, okay, I'm glad that you guys can hear me, sorry. We work alongside a lot of other organizations like Slow Food Youth Network, ASEED, often with the universities in Amsterdam where we're based. We also collaborate with a lot of social enterprises in Amsterdam, like the Koval and InStock. So institutes like this really help to build a sustainable and collaborative community within Amsterdam that strive for this future with improved social and environmental relations. So as we are founded by a student from AUC, from Amsterdam University College, we have quite a strong connection with the student base in Amsterdam, which is why events like this are really important to us. And you guys are really important to us as part of our network. So want to provide a little bit about our regular events, and then, like I said, go into food waste and then go into the recruitment stuff, hopefully within our nice time limit. So aside pandemic times, we have our dinners regularly. So on a Monday, we have our Wasteless Culture Mondays. We have 3 events actually held weekly in order to create this community around the issue of food waste and provide education on the topic. So we host a Wasteless Culture Monday dinner, surprisingly happens on a Monday, where we use the food waste collected from our Oost neighborhood and another location, and we cook a meal for our wonderful guests. And this is always donation based to make it as accessible as possible to everyone, all different backgrounds and so on and so forth. On a Monday, the twist or the plot change is that we always hold an event, hence our reference to culture in the title. And this often ranges from film screenings to presentations to performances to music to sort of mini workshops. Here I have chosen some photos from a project we worked on a while ago with the artist India Rose Clapp with her edible plastic soup. It was a really fun event for the evening. So on a Tuesday, again in regular scheduling time, we host a FoodCycle Market from 4 till 5, whereby guests can come by and collect their waste for free or for donation. So you can see in this photo, this is the kind of food that we collect, and this allows people to see firsthand what is considered waste in the eyes of the shopkeeper and also in the eyes of the consumer. So we like to think that it's a pretty visual aspect, but also just a good way of getting some different groceries, basically. Alongside these events that we focus particularly on food, we also host workshops bi-monthly, also twice a month, that contribute to reducing waste in other aspects of the individual lifestyle or consumer lifestyle in the hopes for sort of a systemic change. This photo is actually of a workshop in which you could produce your own menstrual products, so reducing waste in aspects such as that. Other projects that we've hosted include kind of making your own kombucha, making your own kimchi, and these kind of wasteless recipe workshops, and also creating your own DIY like hygiene products, beauty products, and stuff like that. We've also had a couple of educational workshops on nutrition, and we also have our own Waste Doctors workshop, which is about food waste in itself. So plenty of variety there too. So I was running through these events on the calendar scale. So lastly, I guess we have Wasteless Wednesdays, which is just like the classic event of Taste Before You Waste. It's the same as the dinner on the Monday. We collect food, surplus food, and we cook it and hope that everyone enjoys it, basically. We also always have a small little market at our dinners that are accessible, again, for everyone to come by and pick up some surplus food or the food that we don't use to cook with. Yes, so yeah, I have to highlight that we are an organisation founded and thriving through the hard work of our volunteers. So none of our events would be possible without the community that we have. Yeah, here's a photo of some of our volunteers doing some cooking. We also basically have to mention this, we collect surplus food, really it's kind of a grassroots basis by just simply going to shops from whom we have built up relationships with, and we use our trusty, slightly rusty backfeets to collect this surplus food and take it to our location and use for our events. So we're quite a community-based project as well. So alongside these weekly events, we also hold extra activities that's often on request. Oh yeah, I'll answer questions at the end of the presentation. So yeah, alongside our weekly events, we also hold extra activities. Like this photo I have here, just as an example, is of the old coordinator and I hosting this workshop that we created at the World Disco Soup Day last year. So there's plenty of things to get in touch with in Amsterdam. We've also done kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say corporate, but working in businesses, doing workshops, and also, how do you say, workshops with kids we organized a few years ago. But as a kind of, depending on what interns we have and what community projects are available, we fluctuate with a lot of the projects that we work on. So there's a lot of flexibility within the organization as well. And yeah, the dinners, by the way, are also vegan. Oh, sorry, frozen. Let me go back. Yeah, we've also brought our activities together in the form of a winter and summer festival previously. So trying to collaborate with different organizations and also with our interns and volunteers to create festivals centered around food waste and around reducing your waste in all aspects of your lifestyle as well. So this is a photo from our summer festival last year. Unfortunately, we haven't got one this year, but maybe for winter, we'll see. Also, something that I'm personally proud to be part of in Taste Free Waste is the activist stance that we hold. We've taken part in marches and protests and actions as a group, but have more recently found a slightly more suitable place in providing food to those who are also taking part. So it might sound a bit cliche, but as you can see in the photo here, we kind of refer to it as feeding the movement. This is us taking food to the XR blockade. I think that was in January, I can't really remember. And yeah, feeding the movement there. So it was a really fun activity to be part of. Sorry, I want to now touch upon a little bit about what food waste is, after having referred so much about the organization. We're really aiming to tackle the problem of food waste kind of on this individual scale. So yeah, in order to support the information I've just shared, I just want to explain, what is food waste. So firstly, I want to discuss the term waste and the danger of this language. So we think of waste as any substance which is really discarded after primary use, or is kind of worthless if it doesn't fit what it was originally designed for. But this is not true in a lot of senses. So we see a lot of wasted plastic. This is just an example, turned into valuable objects like insulation, pens, clothing, art, and so on and so forth. So this is not a worthless product, but more a primary or damaging use or overuse of it. So food waste is not actually waste in this definition. The food we collect as taste-free waste is clearly not defective or worthless, as I'll try and show in the next photo. And through our literal consumption, it's given a use. So I like this this image of in nature there is no waste. So we should be, and partly are, within this natural world and should exist in harmony and relation with the environment around us. So us being, humans as society. It's humans who create waste and humans who are responsible for reconnecting with our planet and reintegrating ourselves within these natural rhythms. So yeah, what is food waste? And this is what I wanted to try and show, and also in the photo before of the market. So food waste is simply the loss of food for human consumption. So when food intended for human consumption is not used as such, food is lost or wasted throughout the supply chain. So from initial production all the way down to household consumption as individuals. So this is just a photo I took on my phone of a previous surplus food collection. And this is just one day and the collection from like 3 to 4 shops or greengrocers, as you say. And I always use it, as you can see, like the standard of food that is considered waste, I think is quite odd. Even just looking at this photo, you can see from your personal observation, let's say even via Zoom, the high standard of fruits and veggies that are thrown away here. Water break. So yeah, food waste is not a symptom. Sorry, food waste is a symptom and not the whole problem itself. And we have this nature of waste embedded into our entire food system and into our whole society. And so we find that food becomes a really accessible entry point for a wider discussion about sustainability and social change, which is why we really value the wasteless dinners that we usually host in so many levels. So food concerns everyone. We all eat. It's really common. And therefore we need a change of mindset and of behavior in the masses in order to create this systemic change that I mentioned earlier. So food waste is also not just wasted food, it's wasted water, energy, land, and most of all, human life and wildlife. When we waste food, and when supermarkets and so on waste food, we also waste the resources used to create that food. So I always use this statistic of meat production requires a higher amount of water than vegetables. I think for about, I've written it here, a kilogram of meat requires between 5,000 and 20,000 litres of water, whereas to produce a kilogram of wheat requires between 500 and 4,000 litres of water. So still, you know, a massive amount of energy. This just proves what is needed to create a project, and so a product, sorry. So it emphasizes when you waste food, you don't just waste that simple thing, you waste everything that's gone into it as well. Let me see. Yeah, so also when we waste a project that is more than just these basic ingredients, say like wheat or meat, we are disregarding a number of other strains that the environment, that we place on the environment, like water, and also on social structures like labor in production and the impact that this has on consumption. So we waste food while so many other people struggle to access it, that the food discarded by retailers and consumers in the most developed countries is actually enough to feed all of the world's, I think it's the 870 million hungry or starving people. This is according to the UN. So individual change is really important, as I have explained, and we'll just jump upon in a second. Yet to create a greater impact, we need to contribute to system change. Sorry. So food waste is prevalent at all levels of production. A third of everything produced is wasted, and that's about 1.3 billion tons. So we actually, per consumer, waste in Europe and North America between 90 to 115 kilograms a year, which I think is best understood in the context of human weight. So I think the average weight is like 70 kilograms, I think, in the Netherlands. So everyone is wasting more than our own body weight, which is quite depressing. So yeah, what can we do? Statistically, most food is wasted by the consumer, second to the producer, which is why Tastefully Waste does work on this sort of individual scale. I can provide a bit more information about that later. Supermarkets and businesses that create the standards from which so many food waste issues stem actually produce less waste. So what can we do to alter the system? Like I said, individual change. This might seem futile, but a change in behavior and a change in our attitude towards food is what will actually assist system change. So disappointingly, 71% of global emissions are produced by only 100 companies, and mostly with a focus that are on fossil fuels. But this energy is actually, this energy used for oil production, and thus is linked to the food system and food waste. Statistics like this depict this futility. We really need a greater change than that of the individual scale, but the pressure should not always fall on the individual, on this consumer. Yet it's often marketed in this way in order for large businesses and corporations to continue this damaging behavior. So we always have this statistic that people don't think it matters. If one person stops wasting food, you know, what's 1 in 7 billion? But one person at a time, we can create a society in which food waste is just doesn't happen, or is just not done. A society in which food is really valued for what it is, this basis of human life, and also this thing that we have in common, like I touched upon earlier. So keep in mind that when reducing your food waste, behavioral change doesn't just happen overnight. This is really central for how we work at Tastefully Waste. There's no need to change all your food habits from one day to the next. So one should just see it as a process in which you are critical towards your own behavior and try to analyze what actions lead to waste. So being conscious is already half of the work, and we like to, like I said, it is our kind of mission statement. We want to create consciousness and empower citizens. So we like to think that this being conscious also comes into play when you attend our events. And in no time, you'll be altering your behavior. You know, you might not avoid loads of food waste at first, but you will in the end, and you'll end up with kind of more money in your pocket, more creative meals, and you know, you'll just feel good. I guess that would be the full statement. So where are we now? Just a brief conclusion before I touch upon the careers aspect. So our culture may have us prone to this individualism and consumerism, but we, pitching to students as the youth of today, I'm also recently graduated, so we have to teach ourselves and teach each other how to act collectively and how to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and especially for their inactions. So this is why at Taste Before You Waste, we want to focus on community building, networking and advocating for a sustainable food system and environmental justice in the near future. So never has there been such a contrast between our collective knowledge of what has to be done. So I feel like people are very aware, and then actually what is being done to ensure our survival. We really can see our priorities, but there is less action than necessary. Let me see, but not to get too cynical, as I'm reading from my notes, there are a lot of people, a lot of projects, as I'm sure you'll see over the next few days with this this Green Careers project as well. There's a lot of research working on solutions to all these problems that we are causing, and many of them are ready to be implemented at a grand scale, despite the lack of funds that actually have been allocated to them, funding being a really tricky thing in the nonprofit sector. So imagine what we could do if projects like this were our highest priority. This applies to different ways of growing, distributing and consuming foods and so on, but also to energy, water, information systems, just to name a few. Yeah, even the organizations, like I said, over these next few days, I'm sure we'll have much more depth in this. So working in the nonprofit sector, it's really easy to become super focused just on your issue, on the issue that your organization is surrounded by, and often disconnected with other causes, which keeps our voices relatively quiet and also makes it quite difficult to reach critical mass. While actually, sorry, many times we are working towards interconnected goals. So that we can act effectively and collectively. So enough food waste talk. And I want to just talk about our organization and how we function with our internships, basically. So yeah, join us and help us fight against this food waste injustice. So Taste Before You Waste, we do function mostly on interns and volunteers. We have a board team who communicate with the general coordinator, so with me or whoever does hold that position. And the general coordinator and the interns exist as this core team, and each intern has a specific role, and then we move forward with the organization from these positions. So I've highlighted some roles here. We actually have a team of 6 plus the coordinator, so a team of 7 at the moment. So we'll see, we have the media positions here, so the Instagram coordinator, the Facebook coordinator, and the blogger, and also the cultural program coordinator, the outreach coordinator, and the workshop coordinator. I'm just going to pop back to the slide before. So yeah, to provide a bit more depth on Taste Before You Waste, we are based in Amsterdam, actually really close to the, I always say this wrong, Roters Island campus. So actually really nearby the Green Office in the centre of Amsterdam. We're actually a registered foundation or legal entity, stichting. So if you are doing this, if you want to apply for an internship as a student, you can get accreditation for your university or for your workplace, so on. I actually personally did an internship last year with Taste Before You Waste when I was doing my master's at UvA, and I also got credits for that, so it does work. And we've also had a lot of experience with students, so from UvA, from VU, from AUC, and so on and so forth, who have actually done internships with us. And so we're quite experienced with the whole process. Our internships, just like our community, are all about co-creation and empowerment. We're also a really international organization that functions in English, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Our teams are always international. Our volunteers are hugely international as well, mostly connected to this student base. So that's why we speak in English. So we don't require you to have specific experience before starting your journey with us, but if you do in turn have expertise you would like to apply to our cause, we really are looking to improve our work in progress. Like I mentioned, Taste Free Waste is really a growing organisation, so we really appreciate when someone is passionate about their expertise or has a passionate project in mind, and we'd like to be able to grow and adapt to certain projects as well. So the role of interns is that you would interns attend weekly meetings with the other core team members. We reflect on the events of the week, the progress on all our projects and plans for the coming week, as well as making collective decisions, strategizing on the bigger picture for Taste Before You Waste. I was going to go through the positions step by step, but I think that they are quite lengthy in their description. So let me see. Yes, on the next slide, I have inserted the application, and also our website has a whole, sorry, I'm losing my words, has a tab on vacancies that really goes into detail with all the positions. But like I said, there really is no limit to what kind of interns we want to take. So if you're really interested in working with Taste Before You Waste, or you really do have any questions, please do not hesitate to send a proposal or send your application to either the info@Taste Before You Waste email that you can find on the website, or to the one that I've inserted here, which is HR@Taste Before You Waste. There is a lot more detail on the website, but also I thought I'd just put everything in this slide. And I realized that I am running out of time, so I thought I will end this presentation here with my any questions slide. I want to thank you guys for giving me the platform, and I realized that there's a lot more depth we can go into for food waste, and especially with the positions, but this is what I want to use the question time for, is to answer anything specific. But also, if there are any more questions, please feel free to email or contact us on Facebook or anything else. It's mostly me that's responding at the moment, so you'll have a really personal answer. Yeah, I'll leave it to the Zoom gods to do the questions.
Yeah, just to add on to what Izzy was saying, I was actually part of Taste Before You Waste just before the lockdown, and it was really, really good. Like, it really did change my outlook on food waste, and I got to meet I was an international student, and I got to meet an amazing array of people from different backgrounds, who weren't just students, who had their whole careers in sustainability, and who kind of just wanted to do it as like a volunteering on the side thing, just to help out the local community, and it was really, really good. So let me get to questions. So someone asked, are the internships paid?
Yeah, so sorry, I did have that also in my notes, but yeah, unfortunately the internships are not paid. We can, depending on the situation, offer travel recompensation, but yeah, mostly it is just free food is the best that we can do. I would love to be able to pay the interns, but it's just something that we're not feasible to do as at the moment.
And another question was, is there a specific part of the community or group of people you're finding hard to reach or engage, or does free or cheaper food win everyone over?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I saw that as well. I think that we have actually recently tried with a new dinner in Javerstraat called Oogst van Oost that we pitched. I'm not a Dutch speaker, but the interns and some other volunteers pitched it in Dutch in order to reach that sort of community that is, how am I trying to stereotype here? This is maybe slightly older, and also not from this student base, because we do have such a foundation, in international students, that I think that often doesn't reach the communities that perhaps need the access to the dinners as well. So, well, I mean, one, Dutch speaking communities, and two, probably those who really need to have reduced cost meals as well, if that answers the question.
And we had a couple more questions about internships. So how long are the internships, and can you volunteer from a different city in the Netherlands, and do you have to be a student?
Yeah, sorry, I did also want to touch on all this, but I hate to be that person, but the information is all on the website. But the internships do last for 5 months, So we are currently looking for interns from September to the end of January, so September 2020 to January 21. And then the next step would be February to the end of June 2021. Currently, we've had to adapt, obviously, with how the current interns are working in terms of, do they have to be physically there? So technically, yes, internships can function from a different city, you know, if you don't want to be physically, if you can't be physically present all the time or at all. So I would encourage those applications, although there are a few positions that do require you being physically available, that being the workshop coordinator and the cultural program coordinator can't really be done remotely. But you could be from, yeah, if that's the question, can you do it remotely? Then I should think so, yes. But from a different city commuting, I see no reason not to.
And also, someone asked, is your organisation aiming to change people's behaviour or to make people aware of the issue? How would you distinguish your organisation from those restaurants using ugly food to make meals?
Yeah, we both answer yes to both. Changing behaviour and what was the second one? Distinguishes, make people aware of the issue. Yeah. So the dinners are really central to Taste Free Waste. One, for running us financially, because they are run on donations, and that's the only income that we make. So in order to pay the rent of spaces and so on. So we're not necessarily functioning just as a restaurant, like say InStock does, using the ugly fruits and veg and so on. We like to think that the dinners do create an awareness and of the organisation and of the issue, in the hopes that when people are more aware of Taste Free Waste, that we function more than just the dinners, that they can join other educational events and other educational activities that encourage a change of behaviour and encourage inspiration and empowerment, if that makes sense. So I do think also, especially with the Culture Mondays, when we have the educational presentations, that we do distinguish ourselves from restaurants using ugly food to make meals. But yeah, the dinners are also super central, so there's a balance.
And another question was, you mentioned your meals are vegan. Do you mean all vegan? If so, is there a reason why you do not also attempt to reduce food waste in terms of dairy and meat? I can imagine there might be a food hygiene issue. Is this the case?
Yeah, so we make them all vegan because also vegan meals are accessible to everyone. So everyone can eat vegan. And yeah, also the food safety, food hygiene when it comes to meat and dairy is more complex than collecting the fruit and vegetables, especially from the supermarkets. Or we collect, I say in English, from greengrocers. I don't know what else you would say that, like kind of independent markets, shops. So yeah, it's definitely a food hygiene, food safety thing. And the storage that we have at our space doesn't quite allow the capacity for that. But mostly it is vegan because it is accessible to everyone. And that's what we want to aim for with the dinners, hence with the donation base as well.
And lastly, who have you found to be the largest producers of food waste? Do you mostly work with local grocers or supermarkets, chains and hotels? So
in terms of the end of that, the second part of that question, we work with, like I just said, these independent markets, yeah, local grocers, you're right. Supermarket chains are really hard to tackle from our small organisation, although I know, again, to reference InStock, that they work with Albert Heijn. We also collect from a catering, like an office canteen. And I don't know who in those situations wastes more. Both the waste surprises me every time, that it's enough to feed like 100 people for our dinners. So it's a tough question from our network. I guess I would just say the markets. But the problem with food waste is that it's often the supermarkets kind of push off the food waste to either back to the producer or to the individual. But we don't work with supermarkets at the moment. I know that was quite a vague answer, but we do work with local grocers and with an office canteen. So I can't speculate more than the surplus we get from them.
Okay, just one more question, which I thought was really good, which someone has just posted. What is your advice for upcoming graduates and people working on a sustainability career?
I feel like a bit of a fraud trying to answer this question, but because as I mentioned, I did my internship at Taste Before You Waste, and this is also my first job out of graduation. So I guess the background I would recommend, it's a tricky one, but would to be really involved in the cause that you support, let's say, you know, food waste, and be really committed as much as you can in a voluntary capacity, because I know that's what's available, and gaining experience in that sense. But unfortunately, I think it is, yeah, networking and creating a community within this kind of non-profit world, say, of Amsterdam. But yeah, I do feel a bit impostery trying to say that, because all I did was my internship I worked at Taste Before You Waste for about a year before I did the coordination, which is the paid position. So I would say just investing your time in something you're really passionate about, and creating context that way. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think that would be probably all we have time for. We're going to have a short 10-ish minute break for us to kind of just organize things. And if you guys want to just get some water or go to the bathroom, the next speaker will be Metabolic at 12:15. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.